So with NFL Week 2 on the way very soon, here are my biggest Week 1 takeaways from the past NFL season. And maybe they are overreactions, but these are my biggest takeaways I think are going to impact the season the most and is most telling for these certain teams. And the first thing I want to talk about is the first game of the season between the Cowboys and the Eagles. And I think the Cowboys are going to be a lot more competent than I realized, and I feel like most people realized. There were definitely a lot of doubts going in with the Cowboys this season, and there certainly are doubts. Again, me saying this is not me saying that they are going to be a Super Bowl contender, but I thought they were going to be a 6-win team, but they might maybe make a wild card spot based off how they played against the Eagles. But there are still obvious major concerns that they did in the offseason that are still very questionable moves, like trading Micah Parsons and hiring Brian Schottenheimer as their head coach has virtually no success within the league, and also just not making any huge signings during the offseason despite trading for George Pickens, which was also a pretty good addition, but then also had a pretty weak draft class. However, I feel like in this Eagles game, the Cowboys definitely showed their offensive capabilities, and also Dak's injury was a pretty big concern going into this game, and also not playing that well the year before, but really showed out in this game and honestly looked really good. And I feel like I was a lot more concerned with the run game, losing Rico Dowdle and getting Javonte Williams, so I wasn't really super high on going into the season, but actually showed off some pretty good moves, and also has Miles Sanders, who is still a somewhat talented running back. Again, did have a fumble in the game, but I feel like he can get his groove on later in the season. So this running back depth definitely isn't horrible, and Javonte Williams might be better than I realized, and I think other people realized as well. But again, there is still the major hole with this team, which is the run defense, and going against teams in their division like Saquon Barkley, who is a great running back, is definitely going to be hard, and especially with the NFC, you have a bunch of great running backs. This is definitely going to affect them a lot, and obviously their defense is going to suffer a lot from the Micah Parsons departure. The defense definitely looked uninspired in the first half, but definitely clicked a lot better in the second half, and was a couple drops away from beating the defending champions. Now let's talk about the Miami Dolphins, and I feel like this is the opposite with the Cowboys. I feel like they can definitely do a switch. I feel like people expected Miami to kind of be this somewhat wildcard push team, maybe not make the wild card, and Cowboys kind of be the 6-win team, but honestly I feel like it's flipped around. Miami looks so uninspired and really bad against the Indianapolis Colts, who isn't some super talented team, and got torched up by Daniel Jones, who obviously hasn't put much together in the NFL, so that was definitely an embarrassing outing for their defense, and their offense is supposed to be this huge powerhouse offense with its superstar studded, but again, couldn't get anything going on this Indianapolis Colts defense. The Indianapolis Colts actually do have a pretty good defense. I'm not going to knock them for that, but again, the Miami Dolphins is built to go against these really good defense. They just could not do anything against the Colts offensively or defensively. Mike McDaniel's play calling was definitely not ideal. To his decision making and just playing within the game did not look good either. And with the Jets honestly looking pretty good week 1 and the Patriots improvements during the offseason and new head coaching and Mike Vrabel, this is definitely going to be a big concern for Miami. And honestly, they might need a complete retool with Mike McDaniel and Tua, which is kind of crazy to think because only a couple years ago, people thought that this was the future of the NFL, and Mike McDaniel is one of the best NFL coaches in the league and is now kind of just getting embarrassed by every good team he plays and can't even beat the Colts. Like, he didn't even put up a fight against the Colts. And this team is just so uninspired, so many penalties, they look like they don't even want to be out there. So don't be surprised if the Miami tank starts soon and they trade Tyreek Hill and maybe even bench Tua or fire Mike McDaniel mid-year and just kind of retool this whole entire team. And the only key players they're probably going to stay on this team would probably be Minkah Fitzpatrick, considering the fact they just traded for him, and Jalen Waddle, and try to get a quarterback in the draft house like Clay Cubneck or someone like that. My next takeaway from week 1 is that the Houston Texans are in definite trouble. Do I think they're going to be a bad team? No, but they definitely do not have this AFC South clinched by any means. Their defense, however, is incredible. Could be the best defense in the league by the end of the year, but their offense is most likely going to be bottom 5. Very lacking in the running back department with Joe Mixon constantly being injured, and they really don't know how long Joe Mixon is going to be gone for. Lack of pass catchers, too. I mean, they have Nico Collins, but couldn't really get it going against the Rams, and that's not a very good sign because the Rams have pretty bad cornerbacks, and their pass defense is not very good. And then their offensive line is probably the worst in the NFL. And it's kind of crazy because C.J. Stroud's rookie year, their offense was so fiery and was just so good. And now their offense can't get anything done. However, this defense completely held the Rams to only 14 points, which is definitely impressive with such a superstars on that offense for the Los Angeles Rams. But again, I don't know if that's good enough to keep up with other teams, especially with the Jaguars and Colts looking a lot better. This division can definitely be up for grabs. And I feel like people were underestimating the Colts and the Jaguars going into this season. I mean, myself included, I wasn't super high on the Colts. But again, this division might be up for grabs, and the Texans might need to make some huge trades during the trade deadline to really get this team over the hump, because they have won 2 playoff games in the last 2 years, and they should be in this win now mode. But it feels like every year since CJ Stroud's rookie year, they've gotten worse, which you just shouldn't do when you have a quarterback still on a rookie contract and other superstars to pay later, like Will Anderson. And my last takeaway is that the Green Bay Packers are currently the best team in the NFC right now. I think they exceeded on literally every level against a super good Lions team. Yes, they did lose their coordinators, which obviously sucks, but I mean, this roster is still insanely talented. And I feel like people recognize that until the Packers game, and now they're blaming it on the coordinators. But honestly, I just think this Packers team is really good. Yes, obviously the coordinators are going to affect the Lions a lot, but I feel like that is going to put the Packers above the Lions with the addition of Micah Parsons and Matthew Golden. Jordan Love played outstanding this game, throwing to 9 different targets in that game. And that's what really got the offense good in Jordan Love's first round year, when their passing offense was really good because he got to so many targets. Last year, a lot of his targets were injured, and now he has even more targets with Matthew Golden and Tucker Kraft back and healthy. And then they're going to get Christian Watson back. But then this D-line has been insane. I mean, that D-line in that Lions game was ruthless. I mean, Devontae Wyatt, Lucas Van Ness, Micah Parsons, Rashawn Gary, they all got going against a good Lions offensive line. And honestly, it didn't even need the corners to do that much because their front seven was playing so well. And Evan Williams and Xavier McKinney might be the best safety duo in the whole entire league. And they really held this Lions team down, and they couldn't really do anything about it. So I really do think, especially this Thursday Night Football is going to say a lot, but I think right now the team to beat in the NFC is the Green Bay Packers. And also this Eagles game against the Chiefs is going to say a lot. But these are my week 1 takeaways. And if you have anything else you want to say in the comments, and you have any of your takeaways or opinions on my takeaways, make sure to leave them down in the comments, and I can talk to you about those topics too, because I love debating football. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video.